Welcome to Conversations with a Dog Trainer. Today we're going to get into some interesting stuff. If you've got a rescue dog that is from the streets or you're considering getting one, these are things that your dog wants you to know. Now, even if your dog's not from a rescue, not from the streets, if you have a dog with some fearful tendencies, these are important details. So let's get into it. First thing, the dog does not benefit from your pity, from your sympathy, or your love if it's not matched by correct information, guidance, technique, practice, and knowledge. Most people who adopt a dog have huge love in their hearts for the dog. And along with that comes the story of the checkered past, the horrible past, or perhaps we don't know all the details. So people tend to play a little bit of detective. They see something, therefore they attribute it to something. And there's this game that gets played where it just, oh, poor thing. The dog does not benefit from your sympathy. What the dog benefits from is your knowledge. When you have knowledge and you know how to guide this dog, and if you don't have the knowledge, that's okay. Find someone to help you. Then the dog is going to get stronger. And that's what we need. We need to help the dog get stronger. Okay? So sitting back and just saying, oh, poor thing, she's a rescue. She's a street dog. She was abused. She was tied to a tree for 4 years. Look at the video I did recently, the short I did about a dog that was tied to a tree for 4 years. And the people brought the dog home, and they're the nicest people. They love the dog. And they are socializing the dog. So people are coming over all the time. And the dog is hiding behind the owners and everybody's trying to pet the dog. Does that help the dog? Absolutely not. It teaches the dog, it reinforces the belief of, I knew I couldn't trust people because I'm showing them that I don't want. And they're still forcing themselves on me. And as a result, the dog is biting. So if anything, that version of socialization with a dog like this trains a dog to bite. They think they're socializing. The dog believes I'm being taught to bite people in order to survive. So is the love and the good intention helping the dog? Or is it creating a bigger problem? I mean, the answer is quite obvious. Okay? Now, in line with this, don't view the dog as broken. Don't pity the dog. Look to develop the dog's resilience. Think of it as strength conditioning, resilience versus bubble wrap. Bubble wrap is never going to help a dog. Watch people, or perhaps you do this, or maybe you know someone who does. The dog is nervous, the dog is scared, and the person just talks to the dog. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Have you ever seen a dog go from nervous to super confident in a moment because someone's doing this? That doesn't work. It makes it worse. And the pity, oh, poor thing, poor thing. Yeah, you can feel that in your heart. Of course, I feel it too. But it's not beneficial to the dog. It doesn't help the dog grow stronger. So what I want to do as a trainer, I want to construct scenarios. I want to construct training sessions where little by little, I start to develop that dog's resilience. Think of it like anything else. If you can't run 10K, it doesn't mean you can't run 50 feet. And if 50 feet is too much of a stretch, you can probably run 10 feet. And then if you can run 10 feet, take a break, do it again, take a break, do it again. Over time, you're going to get better and it's going to get easier. And the 10 grows to 20 and 20 grows to 100. And before you know it, you're doing something. So we want to develop resilience, and resilience does not come all at once, and it isn't infinite. But let's at least try something. Let's at least try to build something rather than just coddling the dog. I don't want to be the hero to the dog. I want the dog to find its inner hero. I want the dog to come out stronger. And I'm going to give you some examples as this video goes on with some recent rescues and street dogs that I've worked with. Different scenarios, different types of dogs, different outcomes, different potentials, and we'll take a look at that. When you're adopting a dog, one of the things you've got to get in your head from jump, dump your expectations at the door. Don't go in with expectations. Don't go in with, we're going to go walking down at the old port where it's crowded. We're going to go to the street fair. We're going to go to the dog park, which we really shouldn't do, period. We're going to go to my friend's house for a barbecue, or I'm going to have everyone over. Humans, dogs, what have you, however you vision it. Start with just getting to know the dog. Start with building a bond. Start with training. Start with structure. Start to give the dog some sense of ground under their feet, where the dog says, okay, there's a rhythm and a predictability here. And by dumping your expectations, you're opening yourself up to the potential and possibility of what is this new thing I'm living with. I've got a bulldog named Hooligan. I call him an alien. My last bulldog named Cow, she's the blur right there. I called her an alien. Why? Because I'm a working dog guy. I'm a shepherd guy. That blur up there, that's hypertension. That's my Dutch Shepherd. He was born in 2001. Before him, I had several Malinois. So I'm not coming from a bulldog angle. And when Hype was on his last legs, my daughter, who was 10 at the time, really, really wanted a bulldog. And so, okay, I researched, found a breeder I was comfortable with, got us a bulldog. And I know this. I know that this is a different kind of dog. And I know to not have any kind of expectation. I just wanted a nice dog. I didn't care about training with her, and that was not her purpose. Her purpose was just to be a spoiled pet. She'd be trained to be a well-behaved pet.
You good?
But just a pet, nothing performing,
You good,
so to
girl?
speak. So I was a little out of my depth, and I had trained hundreds of bulldogs. But to train one that belongs to someone else is different than coming home at the end of the day, and now I got a little ants in the pants, and usually Hype is good to go. And my Malinois, of course, same thing. So now this bulldog, she could do a few things, and she was a fun dog. She was a lovely dog. It took a limb out of me when she died.
Okay.
It was still a big adjustment for me, and I had to remind myself a couple of weeks in, like, just dump your expectations. And then funny enough, I get Hooligan from the same breeder as Cow, and he's nothing like her. And I tell my clients this all the time. It doesn't matter if they're from the same breed. They're individuals, just like people in a family. They're individuals. You're going to find a wide variance. You're going to find varying degrees of energy, of drive, of nerve, of athleticism, of just length of leg. He's very leggy, my guy, compared to some of his siblings. So you've got to dump those expectations and just accept what is. Let it develop and accept what is.
Okay. Look at my leash. Look at the dog's focus.
If I could give one recommendation only, it would be this one. Get professional help. Don't wait for problems to arise. If any dog trainers are watching this right now, everyone's going like this. Don't wait for problems. The majority of people contact dog trainers after they've got a problem. That's not the best strategy. Of course, I'll help you if you contact me if you've got a problem with your dog. That's a lot of what I do. I'm sure, again, every dog trainer watching this is going, yeah, I do that all day long. But don't wait for problems. In my next life, I'm not going to wait till I'm in my 40s to dump the excess weight and become an athlete and become a cyclist. I'm going to do it from the beginning, because you know what? Life would have been a lot better had I done it early on. Don't wait for problems to develop now, especially with rescues and street dogs that have fears, phobias, social issues, reactivity, aggression. Get some help up front. You're getting the dog is new to you, your environment is new to the dog. You have a chance, not for a clean start where you're going in and wiping out the hard drive, but you can set a tone with that dog right from the beginning. And don't say, well, I'll give her a week or two to settle in. Set that tone. I can't emphasize this enough. Get the help. Find someone qualified to help you. Ask around who in this area is qualified to work with. And qualified to work with doesn't only mean an alphabet after their name. And it doesn't only mean certified or non-certified or this tool or that tool. It means they have a proven track record of success for the areas of training that you're looking to do with your dog. I retrain hundreds of dogs every year. What that means is people have already gone to a trainer, in some cases, many trainers. And then they come in to see me and they're just desperate. And they're at the point where they almost don't believe that dog training can do anything for them because they've tried and tried, but they just haven't found the right trainer, the right fit, the right info, whatever the case. Get professional help right from the start. It can make a world of difference. It can be the difference between your world getting smaller with your dog in terms of you isolating yourselves. I did a consult the other day, family with a Great Dane. They went to a couple of trainers. Dog was dog reactive, like extremely dog reactive. The trainers had them behind sheets of plywood in the class. How does that help exactly? It makes it easier for the rest of the class. I understand they're trying to minimize the damage from all the barking and stress and commotion. But how is it helping the Great Dane exactly? It's going in, being put in a box, still reacting. They're not being given the appropriate tools. And what are they supposed to do in the street? Carry around sheets of plywood? Make sure you find the right trainer for you, okay? I had that dog with me, and within 10 minutes, I had the dog walking with me with a nice loose leash. I had dogs out in the yard where the dog was initially just going off the rails and now was able to follow me and focus to a reasonable degree. Nothing resembling a trained dog, but definitely not the train going off the tracks like it was 10 minutes prior. So some progress, more than they saw before that. Same thing with an Australian Shepherd I just saw. And again, this is not a dog from a rescue or a street dog. This is a dog from a breeder. And this individual went to 2 levels of training at a school and was given absolutely no tools on how to deal with the dog reactivity. And in this case, it's happy reactivity. It's, oh my God, I want to play with you. So at least we have that in our favor, but still put behind plywood, you and your beast of a thing there, you just stay there and do what you do. It doesn't help in the street. The lady told me, I think I even have it in a clip, where she said, I learned more from you in our consult in the hour than I did in 7 sessions or however many sessions they had done. When you adopt a dog with issues, hopefully you're going to try and work on them. It takes knowledge, it takes skill, it takes patience. And if you don't have the knowledge, you're very likely to do a lot of damage by trying to work on them. That's like me buying a toolkit off Amazon to go and work on my car. Whatever little problem is in my car is only going to be compounded by my lack of knowledge once I start fiddling around. You will find people, especially when dogs have social issues, they very often will take the dog to the dog park, hoping it works itself out. They will take the dog to play with a friend's dog. They will take the dog to the in-laws' house. They will, let's just try. No one should buy a dentistry kit on Amazon and say, let's just try. Well, when you're doing that with your dog, it's the same thing. And the outcome can be just as dangerous. So you have to be aware that very often when you're trying to work on these issues, you're trading whatever level that problem is at for a bigger problem. If the dog is fearful and reactive, and then you forcefully put the dog in a situation where you don't have the tools, the dog doesn't have the tools, what do you think is going to happen? The dog is going to do what comes naturally. It's going to react, or perhaps it's going to aggress. And then what happens? The belief system now that the dog already had is reinforced yet again. Then by the time you realize, oh crap, 3 months we've been trying, air quotes, it's not working, let's call a trainer. Now The odds are stacked against you because you've reinforced this so many times. Don't force your dog to be social. Not all dogs are social. I was walking in the street the other day with my wife, and there's this older gentleman in the area, and he walks his boxer night and day. The guy loves his dog. They're a cute pair. And we know the dog's name, just like you probably know the dogs in your neighborhood. I don't know the man's name. He doesn't know us. He probably recognizes us because we wave and say hello. But ask him our name, ask us his name, we don't know. But we know that boxer's name is Caramel. And we said, "Hi, Caramel." And she immediately froze. And then she went behind him. And he grabbed her by her harness. And I assure you, this guy's a sweet guy. He didn't mean her any harm. He grabbed her by her harness and he put her in front of him out to us. She doesn't want that. She was flailing to get back. So my wife and I, we're out in the country. There's no sidewalks. We just crossed the street immediately to avoid any further effort on his part. He's trying to force her to say hi. He knows us to be friendly. We always say hi. So he's telling his dog, "Don't be silly," but his dog doesn't want, and she's panicking and she's trying to slip her harness. So if there was a side street, I would have turned onto the side street. We see people do this with their dogs all the time. The dog doesn't want to say hello to the other dog, but it belongs to your neighbor. So let's go say hi to Mary and Riley. And the dog is hiding behind saying, "I don't really, maybe Mary's okay, but Riley, I don't, And they're trying to just force it. Or even worse, let's put them in the yard. And let's say Riley's a very playful dog. So Riley's just chasing, wanting to play. What's the scared dog supposed to do? It just runs and hides, runs and hides, runs and hides. And then eventually it's running out of places to hide. What happens? It snaps, or even worse, it bites. And then it gets the desired result of, now I've got space. Now someone's going to listen to me and leave me alone. I had someone in for a consult recently with a dog that was tied to a tree for the first 4 years of her life. Not by these people, by the individual she got the dog from. And they get the dog, and naturally, I mean, you think this dog has problems? She's sweet, but she's scared of the world. So they had a friend over, and the dog, this is a large dog, a shepherd mix, maybe 80-ish pounds. The dog is hiding behind the owner's legs. She's sitting on a large Adirondack chair. Sure enough, even though the dog is hiding behind her legs under the chair, the person in their yard comes in. "Oh, I love dogs. I'm not afraid of dogs." And the person means well. They just don't have good dog sense. Means well. I want to show the dog I'm friendly. Let me help this poor thing. That's not how it works. The dog has tried to negotiate safe passage with this person. I won't harm you. You don't harm me. I'll stay in my little cubicle here, my little safe spot on earth. You stay the hell away. Now the person comes in. What's the dog supposed to do? So the dog bit. What is the takeaway message? Forget about the harm done to the person, which thankfully was not much at all. What is the takeaway for the dog? What is the dog going to carry forward? In other words, future dog tomorrow after this encounter, avoidance doesn't really work that well. I need to bite. When I bite, chef's kiss, it works out. Biting equals payday. What do you think's going to happen next time? I took the leash from them, and the lady said to me, "You're the first person she hasn't nipped." Why? I ignored the dog. You're not comfortable with me? I don't need to force myself on you. The example I use with my clients all the time. I say, "We just met today. Can I hug you?" Like, really, come in tight, hug you. I'm not going to, don't worry, but I'm just asking you, would you be comfortable with it? Of course not. But you are comfortable with someone hugging you. It's just not me. We're not there yet. I've been doing this 31 years. I've got clients that I've known for 2 decades, 3 decades. I've got clients right now who are in their 20s and 30s that were in diapers when I trained their family's dogs the first time around. Some of these people hug me. I had one person walk out of the kennel the other day and just like run at me and bear hug me. Great. I'm okay with that. We've known each other for decades. I've had clients that bought my daughter gifts when she was a newborn. And my daughter's 21. So in some instances, it's absolutely appropriate and welcome, and it feels nice. And in other instances, it would just be weird and creepy. So ask yourself which one of those it is for your dog. All right, so here we are at my favorite one, and by favorite, I mean least favorite. Why? But why? How come? What they're really saying is, when's my dog gonna change? Don't expect your dog to change. Your dog may change. I tell all my clients, when we first start, I don't know where we're going. In terms of how social your dog will become over time, I can't predict that. I can see signs and markers of what I think is gonna be, and then every once in a while, the dog will throw you a curveball. And I'm gonna give you a story about that in just a minute. But don't expect or wait for the dog to change. Accept the dog on their terms, accept the dog for what it is, work with a qualified professional to help you improve the situation, to help you strengthen your dog, to build that resilience, to build your dog's core emotionally. But don't expect the dog to change. If that's the case, you should have got a different dog. Can you imagine someone choosing you as their life partner, and all the while you're with them, they're expecting you to change? They're waiting for the morning you wake up and you're a different person? How would you feel? What do you think a dog feels like every day when you're disappointed in them? They pick up on that. And you know what? You're missing out on the joy of the dog when you're expecting the dog to change. What you're saying is, you're a toad right now, you're a frog, I'm waiting for you to become a prince. So you suck right now, and hopefully you'll become a cool dog. What a miserable experience for you and that dog. Take the dog for what it is, or let someone else take that dog. If it's not the one for you, that's okay. That's absolutely okay. But take the dog for what it is if you're going to take it. And then look to maximize that dog. And work and work and work. And maybe sometimes that sun is just gonna poke through and it's gonna be great. And maybe we're not gonna be everything that we hoped we'd be, but we can still have a nice life together. It's a living thing. There are no guarantees. And that's from a breeder, from a shelter, it doesn't matter. It's a living thing. There are no guarantees. Okay, so let's get into some examples of rescues and street dogs that I've worked with recently. And the first one I'm going to start with is a dog named Wobbles. Wobbles is a three-legged dog, so her owners have a sense of humor. Wobbles is the kind of dog that came from the streets in India, no less. The owners worked, they lived in India for a period of time. They worked with a trainer, if I'm not mistaken, possibly 2 or 3, but at least I know for a fact, because I'm going back now maybe a couple of years. Pardon me. So I'm going back now maybe a couple of years, so I might be off the number of trainers, but I know they worked with at least someone. She is wildly dog reactive. Wildly dog reactive. She's the kind of dog where I told them right from jump, we're not going to change her. We're not going to get her to like dogs, but we can absolutely get her to control her reactions, which is going to improve her quality of life as well as the owners. And we're going to just build her up. So Wobbles came in for training, and of course, I tell you, yeah, don't pity the dog. You think I don't pity a three-legged dog? You think I'm not eating my lunches on the floor in her kennel? Like, I am. But I'm still making her work. I'm not treating her any differently than any of my other dogs in for training, except for the fact that our training sessions are much shorter because she's got 3 legs. So she's got to really make some effort to move. Healing is a lot of work for Wobbles. She's got decent stamina, but I don't want to burn her out, and I never want her to feel like she's struggling to keep up in training. Wobbles is a very sweet dog. Wobbles is a very trainable dog, and I can't tell you how well she did in training, and more importantly, how well her owners did with her once she went home. So I saw them at the kennel because they've come back many times since training just for boarding. And if I'm around when they're dropping her off and I chat with them, they always say, you know what, it made a world of difference. And now we can take her places and we can walk her and doesn't react. And sometimes I'm in the front office when they come in to drop off the dog and I'm training another dog right there. And I've got my dog and Wobbles is there, and Wobbles will just turn her back to my dog. And it's not an easy thing for her, but she does it. So there's a perfect example of a dog that is not social. They accepted her for what she is, and they made the most out of her. And they got professional help early on, and they just kept going and going till they found the right instructor, the right instruction to really seal the deal for them. So next up is another rescue named Penny. Penny is a dog that I trained quite recently, going back maybe 5 or 6 months, and she's back right now for boarding, so she's kind of on the brain for me. Penny is aggressive to humans, not all, but some. Penny is dog aggressive, and her owners are just the best. They are serious dog people, and they're just looking for someone to put them on the path. So they worked with a couple of trainers before, and according to them, they had made some progress, but not enough that they were comfortable with where the dog was at. And then that's when I was contacted. We did a consult, and then Penny came in for training. And Penny is the kind of dog that you show her something once, it's done. It's done. Where Penny gets into trouble is she's got strong instinct. Penny's not a fearful dog. Penny is... Okay, she's a little thing. She's a cattle dog mix. She can't be more than 40 pounds. If you look at her, she looks like a little nothing. She will tear you up. So Penny is a serious dog, and thankfully her owners are the kind of people that you show them something, they're like Penny, they're serious individuals. Show them something, you better believe it will be worked on. So we did a different kind of course where she came in and stayed with me for training, but instead of doing the whole hog program at the kennel, they did about 2/3 of that and then added on extra sessions together because they really wanted to work on their handling skills. And we worked together, and then they would send me emails in between lessons, and I'd get a lot of feedback, and I love that. I love when I'm working with someone that is very invested and their thought process is there, and they're emailing and they're asking questions and they want to make sure they're doing things right. These are examples of dogs that don't fit into society, Wobbles or Penny. They're examples of dogs that are not social. Wobbles towards dogs, Penny towards some humans, and definitely dogs. And the training just changed their lives, as well as their owners, of course. Which now leads me to one where we flip-flop. A lovely dog named Ellie. Ellie's owners contacted me when they first got her. And being from a rescue and coming from I believe she was from a hoarding situation, so lots of animals, lots of neglect. Ellie's owners are grandparents. They have a lot of grandkids. And Ellie was running and hiding or snapping. And even when they brought her in for a consult, she was not easy or comfortable around me. You could see it right away. This is a dog that is very, very hyper vigilant about her safety around those she doesn't know. And they had to find a way to make it work, to hopefully make it work. And I explained to them early on, just like I was telling you before, I don't know if the dog is going to be social or not. But let's see where we go. So I noticed over the course of an hour in our consult, she started to open up to me, and I was pointing out little things, little data points that she was dropping for me, showing the owners so they could tune their lenses and understand what we're seeing. And then Ellie came in for training, and the first couple of days training Ellie was literally just me drinking coffee, sitting on the floor in the kennel with Ellie, or her being out in the yard and me just kind of milling about doing my thing, just getting to know you, getting to be around you, getting to feel okay with you near me. And over time, I'd sit on the floor in her kennel. She had this giant comfy bed, and she would just climb in my lap. Let's train. You're climbing in my lap? Let's train. Now you're comfortable with me? Now we can get to work. You can't work with an animal that's scared of you. I mean, you can force them to do stuff, but can you help them feel good around you that way? Not likely. So she started to feel good around me. We got to work. Her owners came back. We worked together. And again, just the nicest people. When you work with the public, you see it all. Most of my clients are somewhere from really nice people to unbelievably. Most of my clients are somewhere from really nice people to unbelievably nice people. Every once in a while, I get someone a little south of really nice people, but that's okay. Ellie's owners definitely fall into the really super duper people. And I'd get, of course, everyone loves a thank you email, a testimonial, all that stuff. But more than that, I'd just keep getting feedback, and you could hear the enthusiasm in the emails. We did this with her. We did that with her. Oh my God, we never thought she could have done this. How's that not making my day? That's like 4 double espressos back to back. And they're active people. They go cycling, they go camping, they go canoeing, they all kinds of stuff. And they take the dog with them. So of course, that dog is trained. Now they can do more with the dog. And now the cherry on top, I'm getting emails. The grandkids come over and the dog just plays with them all the time. Of course, we're watching, we're supervising, we're not taking anything for granted. But the dog clearly isn't just tolerating the kids and kind of suffering through it. The dog is actively seeking out the kids and wanting to be near them and wanting to have contact with them. And great. This is great. And then what do you know? Ellie comes back for a second round of training. Now they want to tackle some off-leash obedience. I mean, these are just the greatest folks with the sweetest dog that no one would have uncovered that sweetness. Think of how she was hiding from the grandkids and then snapped. What would the takeaway be for the dog? To be safe, I need to snap. To be safe, at a minimum, I need to hide and avoid. That's not a good quality of life. If that's the best we can do, where we just have to keep everyone separate, in some cases, that's what we'll do. But if we can get it to the point where we don't have to keep them separate and we can manage things, that's better. And then if we can get it to the point where the dog loves to be around them, how is that not a giant score? Everybody's having fun. I'm getting pictures of the dog playing with the grandkids, playing fetch, running around on the grass. I mean, just great stuff. I'd love to put them up, but I don't want to put up pictures of someone else's little kids just for a YouTube video. But in any event, that was fantastic, which leads me to my last example for this video.
That's a good boy. You're nice.
Ellie's owners have a son, a grown man, and he's got a street dog, a rescue, who is not social at all. And that dog, we did a consult, and he is exactly to this day what I saw in the consult. There was no change, no hidden nugget to be found in the dog of extra degree of sociability, but there's a lot less aggression coming to the front. There's a lot less chatter and noise coming to the front. Momo is a dog that had a rough past and doesn't like people, doesn't like dogs. He's not looking to hurt you, but he will. But if you leave him alone, he'll leave you alone. That wasn't always the case. They were going on walks. He was getting very dog reactive. He was reactive with some people. I had him in for training day one. I'm petting the dog on his back while he's doing plays. And I'm not a dummy. I'm petting him, but I'm watching him. And I'm not petting him the way I would a dog that's socially open. I'm just, yeah, good dog. And he doesn't take out the knife and stick it in me, but he just shows me the blade. He just does this. Really subtle. Hua. Heard, understood, and acknowledged. I get you, Mo. You don't want to be touched right now. We're good. Soon as I did that, we're good. What I just showed the dog is aggression is not required. We don't have to come to blows. We can negotiate. Now that I know, we're good. Kept training the dog, kept working with him. Then I worked with him and I muzzle trained him. And I love doing this kind of training. Every dog should know how to wear a muzzle. You never know when you'll need it. Now, the dog doesn't want me to touch him. Do you think he wants me to put a large basket muzzle around his muzzle? He doesn't want to be touched on his back. You think he'll let me into the palace of the face? And do you think he'll let me handcuff him? So I muzzle trained him my way, where I taught him that he wants to put the muzzle on. And wouldn't you know, anytime I took out the muzzle after that, he would throw his face into a muzzle. Okay, think about that one. Didn't want me to touch him, and he's disarming himself into a muzzle. Fast forward to I finished training him, do the transfer lesson with his owners. And 2-3 days later, I get an email from the owner telling me things are so much better. He's not reacting on walks. They feel like they've got tools. And more importantly, or not more importantly, but equally important, I felt the hua. I felt the heard, understood, and acknowledged, because I was explaining to them all the stuff I've told you today in this long video. Don't expect the dog to change. Accept him for what he is. Respect his limitations. And work with him. And set that tone. And because they're putting all of that forward, they're in a much better position. There's a lot less stress in everyone's lives. And look at what the dog did to me when he gave me that threat. When he flashed the blade for a second, he could have bit me before I even realized what happened. I'm a hell of a good dog trainer. I'm fast on my feet. I can read a dog. He's still faster than me. If he wanted to bite me, he'd have bit me. So keep that in mind. He didn't want to bite. But if I would have come in, the first thing I said today, the love. Oh yeah, but you don't know, Mo. You don't know Big Daddy Nick. I love you, buddy. I would have got bit. I would have got bit. And even if he didn't and he suppressed it, but it was bubbling inside, what positive thing would I have accomplished? See how I'm circling back to that first thing? Because I think it's so important. What would I have accomplished? He would have tolerated it and resented it. And then maybe next time when I go to put a leash on him to go to train him, when I go to enter his kennel, maybe he would have said, now's my chance to strike. Dogs need to feel heard, understood, and respected. And that's not just love. Love is one small part. I don't love the dog like his owners do. I approached the dog like an educator or like a scientist with data. Oh, I see what you're presenting. Therefore, my takeaway is this. Therefore, my solution is that. That was much more helpful than, oh no, buddy, I just love you. I love you. Just like that person who reached under the Adirondack chair and got bit. So this has been a much longer video than I originally intended for it to be. For those of you that stuck around all the way through, wow, cool. Thank you for doing that. For those of you that already checked out, hey, I don't blame you. I can go and go and go. Hopefully you found some of this useful, if not all of it. I'll talk to you again real soon.